game 1. They had a big wombo combo and RNG just couldn't really make it work around the bigger team fights. Juice had a strong game on the Kasansei, but that was about all of the good news for RNG. Once again, getting very similar bans from that first game. Lots of combo champions banned away by RA, the Ziggs, the TF, and the Ashe. On the other side, RNG banning away some individually powerful jungle champions in the Jax, the Lilia, and of course that Sejuani, which was powerful from Xiaohao in that first game, despite the first death the top lane, which was maybe less good. First pick is going to be that Rumble again. We're staying on the same sides. RNG potentially looking back towards that Tristana again for Tonyuan, who was fine in that last game, but it was really hard to play when XBY and Iwandi was so far behind. So the Zyra was banned. It was banned in that first game. XBY is going to pick that one up. His Ivern wasn't fantastic. Didn't have great Daisy usage. Didn't impact that game to a huge extent. So maybe with the Zyra, which feels like jungle on easy mode right now, could give him an easier run of things. RA likely is locking that Corki back into that Tristana matchup, but they don't have the Sejuani to lock him this time. They need some lockdown. They could lock in the Leona. They could do the Leona right now. Very good into the Zyra. It does lock your bot lane into a bit more of a typecast scenario, but I think that works very well. Every time I see Leona into Zyra, it feels like Zyra doesn't get to play with Flash. Because every time that Solarfly comes up, Zyra gets it pinged off of her, and once you get to about 3 items and you get Verdant Barrier or Zhonya's, it makes it easier, but you need to get towards that point, and that's a large amount of the game gone before that kind of becomes a big factor. So RNG, they still have to face off against a big wombo combo. I would imagine they're going to ban out the MF in the second round this time instead of letting that through, because Assume was a big factor in those team fights. This time, one of the other factors is going to be the fact that they have magic damage. They didn't have that in the last game, which means that RA, they can't just itemize fully towards armor with their tanks, with the Leona. There's a very loud crash outside my house. That's a thing which I'm just going to ignore for now. Leona, of course, very good at being that tank, but yeah, there's multiple damage sources now of different types in that Tristana and that Zyra, so you're fairly happy to mix that damage as RNG, and it means that RA don't get that hyper-efficient tanking ability.
I'm looking now at this draft. Hello again.
Hi.
I have coffee. I'm very excited. I'm looking at, obviously you said the Zyra getting locked in. Did know before, I'm not sure if we talked about it yet, that XBY not necessarily the biggest AP jungler at least down in the LDL. And in solo queue, from what I understand, does play a little bit more of the things like the Nidalee, but that is obviously a very different experience to comp play, and certainly a very different experience again when you step up to LPL. But we now know roughly what we're looking at in terms of our solo lanes. As bot lanes yet to be locked in, a couple key options banned away, as also the Viego away from Xiaohao makes some sense.
Yeah, because you got that Leona and there's a couple of squishies which can kind of just win your team fight for free, where you know, you already have your magic damage. You're looking towards not AP junglers now. You're looking towards other things. The Sejuani banned away earlier, very impactful, takes away some of that first pick potential. And then the Viego stops it from being able to capitalize by being an AD jungler, which can also just reset through the game. Xiaohao, what's he going to go towards now? Trying to really think what would fit this draft. The Graves wouldn't be awful if he wants to go towards higher damage, but you only have the single CC lockup at that point, which makes things less good. It might be a Lee Sin angle. And no, he goes for the Ivern himself now, right? Okay. Big change. It is lockup with that Q. Xiaohao going towards the Ivern.
Taken away, well, obviously XPY took it last game. Show him how he's done, the new kid on the block. You've got double AD carry, but this time you have got yourself the Rumble as well. So the front line of the Daisy plus the Leona is still pretty solid, but then your damage profile behind that is pretty significant. Have to do good work for this front line here, though I feel like, at least with the Zyra, RNG will also be doing an okay job in terms of getting that mixed damage profile out this time themselves.
So the Alistair comes in from Iwandi, and I don't know if I like the Alistair again. I feel
not
like
sure either.
It can be okay into the Leona. That's fine in terms of laning phase. You can have some kill combos there, but it's very easy to get snarled up by Daisy and by the Q from the Ivern.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah, it's very easy to just get kind of thrown up by that. Because the thing is, though, if Leona throws in the Zenith blade, then at least the Leona's melee range for you. So in team fights, that's whatever. The problem with Alistair is that when you're CC'd by stuff which is like a mile away from you, you can't even combo them back in return. So, RA, I feel like they have, again, good backline access with the Equalizer. I feel like with the Solar Flare, that's easier to set up for in the Ivern as well. On the other side, RNG, if XBY is better as this champion, it will look better for them. That's quite an easy take in that sense. So RNG looking to have a better team fighting performance in that last game. The rest of the game was still fine. Those team fights were where they really started to struggle. And with this Zyra, maybe they can do that. It's going to be hard still to get through that Leona and the Ivern, though.
Yeah, eyes on XBY. New kid on the block, trying to be a needed band-aid to a team that has been dealt a rough hand here as they're trying to pick up wins. They managed to get a series win despite the loss of their intended starting jungler, at least for a set. Champions flying across our screens. Can Rare Atom close out the series, or do RNG still have a little something left in them? One more game to go at the very least as we head on to the Rift.
Reminder of the stakes. IRA 3-1. A win here puts them to 4-1. That is going to put them into a very good standing to get out of this Nirvana group, get through into that last chance qualifiers. RNG are 1-3. If they lose one more here, it is completely the opposite. So stakes getting ever and ever higher in the Nirvana group.
Gyro's complete. The fans very happy to be on screen there. All of the fans' signs and audience participation. Always a cool part of the LPL. Very prolific and vocal fans, notoriously so around the world. They will travel to every event they can. It's always great to go to international tournaments because I tell you now, the LPL fans will be there in force. It's always good fun.
And each of the, particularly players, have particular fan bases too. The teams do, but also the players do. So for instance, like Scout fans are very that they're a big thing. Jacula fans, obviously huge. Jacula, maybe the most popular player in the LPL now that the Shy is not playing currently. The Shy was the most popular one, so a lot of the big players come with a lot of their big fans to at this point. XBY going to get himself the gold standard start for Zyra, getting leashed as well.
Oh,
that is
a lot of value.
I mean, Zyra, well, no, it's not, because Zyra kills that first camp so quickly. Do you really need to do that? You're letting the Rumble push in. Juice might even lose himself from XP. That's not high value. That's low value for Juice.
I think, if I'm correct, it means that first set of plants kills rather than having to wait for another cooldown on your E or whatever it'll be you used level 1 there.
You always use your Q level 1. Always use your Q level 1, because it's better damage on the whole of that first rank. But you can smite that first camp if you really want to. It's not that much of an issue. So yeah, now Juice is in a point where he's gonna get bullied. He's that low to level. It was, folks. Was the leash worth it? Juice gives himself the leash and he loses his lane early on. You're expecting that versus the Rumble, but this is not graciously losing it. Nope. Your jungler's pathing away from you. You lose yourself that first chunk on that in that trade really badly. I just don't think that leash is worth it. I think that's a huge mistake.
XBY's kept a smite. Maybe can use it on the blue buff here, but how much value are you getting for being done another 5 seconds early on Zyra? I guess we'll see. The decision was made. The leash has come on in. Maybe it's just a mentality thing for XBY to give him some support.
Yeah, but this is just not worth it. You have the Ignite on Xiaoshu this time, which is going to be really painful. Juice might just die on the turret with that. And yes, the lane matchup is always bad. It is always bad. But when you have the Ignite there too, it just means that you're under threat of losing. You're probably at the HP margin now where maybe you get all in and killed, which is going to be a bit of an issue. So we'll check through that. If Xiaoshu can capitalize, that's obviously huge for RA, but if Juice can survive through this, particularly through the first recall and get some magic resist, that's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, and with XBY was done very early, in fairness, got to use that additional smite on the blue buff. No mid lane, Tanguyen out for a moment, but still forced to flash. Did manage to buffer away from that initial bit of CC.
So Xiaohao makes his presence known in that mid lane. It does mean that he's not top lane, so Juice is okay to get some of this farm. If he gets hit by that harpoon, it's a bit nasty. The magic resist shred on that. One of the big reasons why Rumble is so powerful is that they gave his even more magic resist shred. XBY in bot side, not been that quick down here because he's stopped off in that brush for a while. Not able to do much. So again, the leash, which increases his clear, doesn't help top lane. He doesn't achieve anything on the bot side. I understand looking for that angle to try and get towards bot lane very quickly, but even with that, the Israel Allies are not great at forcing onto this duo, so RNG's early plans not really come to fruition.
Yeah, the Zyra just sort of sits over the wall and looks menacing briefly, but, you know, unless you eat the poison plant, it's not going to do all that much. If my metaphor makes some sense.
You have to partake of the forbidden fruit.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly. Like, the forbidden fruit isn't going to come to you quite yet, you know. Doesn't have legs.
It doesn't have legs. Doesn't have a delivery service or something like that. Right, so RA now maybe they're looking towards bot lane.
There we go, gonna go on into the back line. That is the Ivan. Forces the flash on out to try and stay alive, but the turnaround damage is huge, and Iwandi just goes down.
Goes down. The trigger seed on Sejue gets the damage and that slow, which means it's much harder to get out. The flash comes through, but there's still the root coming through from Xiaohao. That root caller getting huge value. Xiaohao ganking mid lane gets flash. Ganking bot lane gets himself the kill there, and he didn't need a leash.
No, he did not. Ivan does Ivan clear things, and suddenly you get a kill in the bot lane. You get the Zeri on Berserker Greaves and the Cull very nice and early, and I assume last game, despite that one slip-up, shall we say, under the tier 1 versus Juice after that dragon fight, Largy had a very good game 1, and here on the Zeri will be given the possibility here of another.
So, Xiaoxu gonna opt it. God, he's got such a big CS lead already. Again, it's normally pretty bad. Maybe I'm overselling it because it is this matchup, but yeah, Juice was doing well in this matchup before. He was even, and then he got that kill on the tower. He might be given another chance to outplay on the tower again. He will be able to hit level 6, but even with that, Joy heading up here could be a little dangerous with the Ignite on Xiaoxu available.
Q3 about to time out, and they'll use that as the opportunity to get on through. Another Q comes on through, trying to get a stack up. The W comes on down, but the Xenoblade after as well. Flying flash out from Joy, who's now tanking the turret shots best they can. Can't quite get the kill even with the Ignite. Juice stays alive, but at about 10% HP.
Yeah, they're going to try and crash the wave. The thing is that no one can push the wave in right here because it's just the Ivan on the other side of the turret. Juice can just clear the wave, so Xiaoxu may be making a mistake now fighting bot lane. It's not going to be that much, it's going to be the flash out. Juice, good understanding there that you can clear the wave because no one's pushing that in. Xiaoxu's not on the other side, and if Xiaoxu ends up walking back around to push out that wave, Juice can walk back with the flash. So Juice outplays, but doesn't get the kill, so he's still behind in gold. He's still down his flash, he's still down his ult rather. He keeps his flash, and so in the individual lane matchup, it's still bad for Juice, but he doesn't die, so it's not worst case scenario.
Yeah, it could have been significantly more dangerous, but of course on the other side you get the flash off the Zeri, who takes the opportunity to step on forwards. Wonfong hit with the lightning crash and jumped down to about a third HP. As Asum finds a moment to go all in. XBY is around, has a sweeper, so will now reveal themselves slightly here, as Asum will note that the ward gets turned off, which will suggest that someone's around.
Yeah, Asum gets himself that first burst trade. People forget how bursty Zeri ult is. In fact, for those of you that watched the Giant X series in LEC yesterday,
oh god, yeah.
The game deserving play was Black Shield on the Zeri, go flash ult into their team, killed everyone at level 18, so yes, very, very powerful. Assume using that to just control that lane a little bit and make sure that Wonfong can't stand in lane safely farming. Assume gets himself a back now, and he'll be able to get himself a little bit further onto the board.
The thing is, I see Jackie's and Jackie Love, and I immediately get reminded of the uncle from Jackie Chan Advantage when they just yell Jackie really loudly when they do something, and it just brings back my childhood and that particular cartoon. So I see them and I want to yell that word very loudly.
I can't remember as much of that show, but I remember bits and pieces. I remember enjoying my just like the Xenoblade over. That's a good Daisy knockup. Gets a lot there. This could be a Xenoblade.
Goes on in. The knockup is decent. XBY is so low, burning out. Gets the Stranglethorns down. Not quite dead yet. Just about alive, but I wonder he still falls. The turnaround might be scary with the plants all around and about, all empowered by that Stranglethorns, but everyone backs out. Red buff was secured by Xiaohao, and they get the kill on Iwandi and the flash of XBY.
That's the big thing. The last bit you mentioned there, the flash of XBY, is very important because this is before Dway even has ult. He's level 5. As soon as he hits that level 6, Zyra, though they live this time, they might get a little bit more photosynthesis than they would like. They're probably going to get a little bit too engorged on that one. If you get
water with the photosynthesis,
yeah,
fire is not great.
It's like that one scene where Patrick and SpongeBob in the SpongeBob movie are like on the the sun drying kind of trick. It's very very disturbing. But actually, he gets out alive for now. He's saved by the singular tear, which sets off the sprinklers. XBY just about makes it through that one. Not entirely sure that watery salvation will be coming next time.
SpongeBob me Bob gets out alive this time.
SpongeBob me Bob, you gotta avoid the solar flare.
Why is that sounding like Charlie the Unicorn?
Who lives in a red buff under the sea?
Zyra! I need more syllables.
Yeah, the syllable. Look, we'll workshop it.
RNG Zyra.
Oh god, right.
Sounds like an awful gyro. Could you imagine if gyros were done to the song of SpongeBob?
That, you know what, now you have? Yes, I can.
I can't hear you.
Yeah. But look, RNG coming into this game, into this second one, this has not been as clean an early game. Xiaoxi looking to maybe get an overheat, has the Ignite as well, hits the Electro Harpoon.
Lord, that's so much damage, he's just gone. Run down the lane and Xiaoxi gets the solo.
And this is what happens when you don't have that slightly better earlier start and you don't get that kill gifted to you in that tower dive. Juice is not even, he is not able to survive through to the point where he can get up to that Chaotic Rooken and then shrug off a lot of the Rumble's efficacy in that laning phase where he's so good at being efficient at taking down tanks. Xiaoxi, because he sees the enemy top laner, giving that leash, not getting position on that first wave, gets the attention of jungle and support after that point too. Juice cannot play this game. This is what happens when you do give that early game over, fight on the bot side.
Jump forward, Dway takes that one down. Iwandi going to be maybe forced to ult, not quite yet
so
now. Oh,
bad.
does, but XPY in the backline with no flash goes on down. The Strangle turns is solid, but it's just on to Daisy, who's the one taking the turret aggro now. Iwandi with no ult, no real way to go. A Hextech Alistair still makes for a fine breakfast for Vikla here on this fine Monday morning.
Yeah, the cogs and gears come apart of the Hextech, Alistair, and he is put back into the production line. RNG yet to get a kill, yet to get a tower, yet to get grubbed. They have one dragon, so it's not a perfect game, but RA will return that favor and get themselves the first Hextech dragon of this game themselves. RNG, their early game has just fallen to pieces, and to me, a lot of this comes through this kind of mounting pressure about the place. Assume jumps in with another great lightning crash over the wall, and the first solar flare of the game really nails that fight too. It gets right onto XBY, gets into the thick of things, so Assume can just nail down the damage too. It is going to be some grubs going up to RNG, but this is again a consolation prize.
Wanting to contest this again, they don't want to give up all of these early objectives. Juice actually with a potential angle on here as Vikla looking to try and contest this. Xiaoxi coming on down as well. They'll get 2 grubs at least, which is something of a relief, but they will not be able to claim that third, which would deny, of course, the might spawn. Over the wall goes Vikla with the additional shield from the Ivern, allowing a much easier trade than might otherwise have been an option.
That's nasty. The Trigger Seed giving you a lot of value just to jump forwards. Frontline's going to get some decent damage. That doesn't have the Triforce just yet, but hits everything. 4 skill shots in a row right now. Iwandi does have that Hex Flash, but not able to get onto the target. And it won't be a 5th skill shot in a row. Assume very chill on that one. Goes to the recall.
4th grub secured by RA on the other side of the map. It will still be an opportunity here for Huan Feng to get some gold back, having we've seen his team fall down about 4,000 gold here early on in the game. It might get worse yet. XPY is around looking for potentially this lane counter gank where there might be some danger top sides. Daisy comes around, but they haven't decided on a tower dive quite yet. This Cassante has proven pretty tricky to manage in the early stages of both games. I think that will be needing a little bit of VOD review from RA, regardless of the results of this series.
It's still been a better early game at shutting him down than the last time, because even though he's been giving them issues, he's now still 40 CS down. He's not a Chaotic Rooken, which is where things tend to turn around. Xiaoxi already at boots, going to get himself to that first item much more quickly than Juice, and this is the thing, you need to be within touching distance of that Cassante. Things are going to be a huge issue if you're not at that point. The Cassante, if you do fall behind this Rumble, becomes a game-losing factor. The Rumble just keeps pushing the advantage.
Well, look, it's just because he's not a Nasus, right? He does not have DK Nick, you know? Doesn't have that opportunity to press
I thought he was like, oh, he's not a monkey from a Nintendo game. He doesn't have DK Nick Rogan. Vikla might be in trouble.
The DK Nick rappers, yeah, Vikla could be in danger here. Might be singing a different song, and namely a dirge as Juice is being flame roasted here. You take your smoothies hot, apparently, says the Rumble. Bot lane, everyone, Vikla survives. Flash on 4 for a solar flare. Iwandi immediately ults. It's a good pulverize to deny that Zenith blade. XBY now coming on over. Will throw down grasping roots and the rest of it to try and get those plants on out.
And it's another continuation of RNG not knowing what to do in various parts of the map. They can't force on one side because they don't quite have the strength to punish the bot lane, and they can't survive in the top lane either. Again, I don't want to keep harking on about this, but Juice's early game just wasn't it this time around. Yeah, he survives the dive, but you're still losing out in the legwork. You're losing out in the farm. You're losing out in the harder trades, and Juice is continually under turret. He gets himself separated away from his tower with a great equalizer, which is a red carpet where he has been firmly barred access to that tower, and Juice is just not in this game. He's less gold than the junglers.
Yeah, he has been suffering ever since that level 1 leash. You called it out saying, look, does Zyra really need the leash? She didn't need to smite her first camp. Got to bot lane 10 seconds early to stand around and watch. And that decision has snowballed somewhat from that. I don't want to put it all on that option, but it put things on a difficult footing. Make no mistake about it. And now the gold lead has ballooned wherever you care to live.
It's a failure on multiple parts, where top lane falls apart because of the early game, but then also the resources given to XBY also don't work out. So the Zyra hasn't managed to get anything done this game. It's even a goal with an Ivern. You don't expect that for a farming AP jungler versus the Ivern. Ivern can farm okay, but it's just not nearly to the same level. Also going to get himself a very quick blue buff steal with the Ivern passive. And RNG being penned in towards their towers now. Ulting quite soon, but again, just to try and force some. So Juanfang, he then blows the flash on the solar flare. Mid turret goes down. There are still 4 grubs for RA, which makes it easier for them to take those things. Dragon up in 45 seconds. They can reset before that one. The mid turret's already down. RA, great objective setup, whilst also getting themselves a lot of gold.
Does that, and again, RA will be in position to contest. The reset will be a touch late, but on the other hand, if they give this up, they're kind of okay. It's only second dragon for RNG. They took a dragon early on to prevent the soul point frustrations they had to deal with last game, and on top of that they get mid-tier 1. They're pretty happy with the trade as it stands, and 5,000 gold at 15 minutes is a significant lead. Let's make no mistake about it.
Tanyuan is going to get thrown in the spot side, the sole gold lead for RNG, and that's saying something because Victor still had a lot of gold. He's got 2 kills to his name. There's none over to the side of Tanyuan, but RNG now going to walk back up onto the map. Xiaoshu alone on top side for now. If he goes for this hard trade, well, I mean, Xiaohu is in the area. XBY could come through. Juice caught out a little bit. Has the flash.
Yeah, that's tricky. All the while, there was a Zyra plant on the Herald to check out what was going on down there, and Juice being down the flash will be a frustration. Xante's going back to that summoner with the nerves of the ghost anyway, so this time around gets him far enough away to get to safety. All the while though, RNG starting up this dragon. No contest from RA as they decided they'd rather have the Herald to get more of that standing gold.
Yeah, so RA, they'll be able to use this to break through whatever the remaining parts of the map they need to, moving with force up towards the top side. RA, for all their dominance, have not managed to break these out of turrets. Juice has tried to defend this. He doesn't have that flash. He does have the ultimate. Maybe he has a good W, you can outplay something here, but he's not got even the Mechanic Rook, and he is going to be dead to rights.
No flash either means Juice, once again, is swiftly consumed, this time by Assume, who gets his vitamins for the day quite happily. A 2-0 and 3 on this area. He's having a very good game himself.
Yes, Assume has been continually using that ult as a burst tool, and it's been working really well for him. And if he gets to do that later into the game with more and more items, he's going to do more and more work. So RNG, lose another kill onto Juice. We said this in the first game, but Juice isn't really a player you want to see behind the game. He's someone who's really been typically given a lot of resources by RNG to stay even or ahead of the game. There was a trade.
I saw that.
Okay, right.
That's fine.
Let's see how that works out. But Juice, he's on weak side. There's no one here. He maybe could have stayed under that turret, but I think actually at that point RNG could pick the turret, kill it, and then kill him anyway. And he sits there realizing that, walks away, and dies for the attempt. Now 2,500 down in the hole.
Yeah, and there's a lot of standing gold to go, and they were already up 5,000 gold with only 1 turret to their name. That is about to get a lot worse with things like Herald and inner turrets to play for. RA are going to be making RNG sweat out the remainder of this game, and again, that's no pun towards the Rumble, who's giga-fed either.
Yeah, so RNG, they had a closer game 1. It felt like the team fights were where they fell apart, but besides that, they were not looking awful. Juice, Juice, he doesn't have the flash again. Very lucky that the Zenith blade doesn't hit. I thought he was going to potentially get taken down for another kill there. Anyway, still going to be able to push it. This top side turret, there are no objective banners sadly for them, but they're also going to lose themselves an inner turret here on the other side of the map. So RNG continually losing across the map.
QI has to flash, but the slow still lands, and the equalizer gets a chunk. Daisy will be traded as Tway will decide, despite not having the flash, he's happy to take this step on forwards. Isn't pulled back, gets away with it. I wondered there whether there might be some danger, but Tanyuan being on the top turret meant that they were pretty happy to take that risk with some of the damage not being available. The Wild Xiaoshu has got a shove in towards mid lane, the chunk onto this tier 2 there as well.
Alright, just continually controlling the map. RNG to give some gold over to the mid laner. Tanyuan now has the Merc Threads, which can very much help versus the CC and the magic damage of Rare Atom. It's just drops in the bucket at this point though. It's very, very hard to get a meaningful difference out of that. Xiaoshu now has his Rift Maker, which makes the matchup against the K'Sante even more hellish. Some people might question why don't you go towards the Blight and Jewel because you're against a magic resist stacking tank. Rumble has so much Magic Pen in his own kit that it can be okay if you hit double harpoons to just kind of play without that anyway. I want in the enemy jungle. It's not going to be that damage because it is only jungle support of the Ivan and the Leona, so he's going to be fine walking out of this one. Ignite through. So that's okay. I want to even just gets himself the honey. Not much happens there. There's no damage available.
Assume and Xiaoshu were coming on down. I wonder whether RA were feeling like RNG might look for a bit more there and didn't quite read whether RNG were invested in that fight or not. Either way, Summoner is burned, and I wonder just sort of gets to walk out with that one. As unfortunately no flash on XBY, and Zyra is a book pressing. That's some pressed flowers, and again another one for the collection of Assume.
Yeah, that one's going to end up in that's going to end up in a flower, but that one is like, oh, look at this lovely example of a Zyra,
dead Zyra.
of a Zyra that didn't have flash and got solar flared. We called this out in the early game. Every time we see Zyra, I think Leona raises up in priority even more than Shorty is, because she's so good at not just removing the flash from Zyra, but just punishing her every time she's out of position, and has that that down play. Much more confident game from him in this game too. He's been playing very, very well around his solar flares and getting that CC3. That was going to buy RA another inner turret, some more gold. The gold is very much getting out of control at this point.
Yeah, it is. Another turret goes down. 50 seconds or so until an Ocean Dragon comes up. It would be soul point for RNG, but I think they're going to be having a hard time getting a hold of it. They have at least hit 2 items on the Tristana, but they have not on the Ezreal. And you look on the other side, and it's 2.5 items pretty much across the board. It would be a difficult fight with those item completions not being there for RNG, so I think they may be forced to give it up. It only second Dragon to RA anyway.
So, RA, just got Infinity Edge on his team.
Oh god.
That's pretty nasty, so if he jumps in with that ult now, it is going to be a ridiculous amount of damage with full-up autos as well. Zeri can be quite unexpectedly bursty with that kind of play, especially with the trigger seed going onto her as well to make it much easier for you to play around. Trying to hug that Fog of War and use those the Bushmaker to give them a bit of an unexpected angle. I am really surprised there are no objective zones. I think the fact that RNG have 2 dragons is kind of screwing them at this point, because
it is probably,
because I think dragons do disproportionately weigh into into the bounty stacking. So RNG sadly not able to get that comeback mechanic. So RNG, they're gonna now have to just hover over this Baron, not really able to farm out in large amounts of the map. They have to teleport in and be there in full strength pretty much at all times, because RA can tank up this Baron and burn it down very, very quickly. Xiaoshu on the flank off Vision.
Will buffer away there briefly, goes all out onto the Leona betway, burning down, but the damage is already absolutely foul! Into the backline goes Assume and murders a couple. Tanguan just about survives, but you killed the Leona. At what cost? Your jungler's dead, your support is dead, Baron's alive, and Vikla can't find the resetting Tanguan.
Yeah, there's no smite, there's no HP bars. RNG, they're going to give up the Baron from this. Off of trying to defend the Baron Vision, but then they pull themselves out of position in the mid lane and leave themselves open to engage. I think Juice ended up kind of just throwing his team under the bus. He tried to get himself to safety with that all out, and all he did was bring the CC towards the rest of his team into a choke point, which allowed Xiaoshu a godlike equalizer. It's going to be a Dragon over the side of RNG, so they get themselves that soul point, but at what cost? They're behind 10,000 gold in 23 minutes. Really timestamp for that to come through. RNG, they have just been blasted in this game too. Game 1 was fairly close. This has been anything but that.
Right side, there's yellow outlines on those inner turrets. They've got themselves some bounties to work with. That's the win condition now.
Oh, that's great.
Get some bounties, fight for soul. It's all fine for RNG, right?
Yeah,
right?
Just ace the whole team, take a couple of towers, you're back into... Wow, that's so easy. So RA going to start mounting up with their cavalry now and go towards this top lane out of turret. Use those bushes to get the extra auto attack buff. The magic damage towards everyone in those brushes, and continue to start sieging away.
I call to mind NIP throwing a 12,000 gold lead with Yasuo Diana, but a week ago. It's been done.
Harder to do for this one.
True. You know, that's irrelevant to historical facts and my ability to find a silver lining, Alex.
That's great, Sam. I think the silver lining has become Elden Ring. It's a bit tarnished.
Oh my god, they've touched Grace.
Well, they're definitely touching grass the amount of times that they're jumping. they're getting jumped on by Ivan, and their Zyra is meeting the firm embrace of the enemy team.
Yeah, the Terra Ferminator. That plant has not survived. It's been cut short multiple times by the angriest lawnmower of all time. As the base is under siege. No, we'll be not offering context at this time as to what the Terra Terminator is.
Yeah. Well, you say that. Go watch Romeo and Juliet. Fantastic movie. For some reason, Ozzy Osbourne's in
It's
there.
reindeer.
Look, that was just the thing. Anyway, alright. They are walking in towards the enemy base, and they're mowing down everything they can as they go forwards. Dway does have flash, does have the trigger seed. He's tanking that RNG maybe a bit on.
Iwandi chunked right out though because Asuma has way more damage than I think they were thinking on Tangman burning down to the Leandry's not quite yet. XPY hit with some of that chain lightning, just about to survive. They go back to the base. Defender's advantage holds them alive for a moment, but they've got double inhibitors down and Baron's still going. They are quite happy to stick around and keep sieging.
Raratum, they were pushed the fence a little bit in some parts of game one, but this game has been anything
Goodbye, Leona.
but that. Leona has died. The Nexus is bare though, and RA march towards it.
Juice down about 10% HP again. The Nexus is indeed bare, and RA make their statement a strong one indeed. A very strongly worded letter to RNG as they come up 2-0 and a dominant game 2. First game, a little bit slower. This time around, there was no doubt at all. The early game went their way, and then there was just no opportunity at all for RNG to come back on in.
So sadly for XBY and the team of RNG, had a decent showing in that first game besides those team fights, but then really in game 2, the early game plan wasn't fit for purpose. They fell behind in that all-crucial matchup against that Rumble. They gave the Rumble in both games. The first game, they had an okay answer to it. The second one, I feel like they put it on hard mode, and alright, they are a rare item today. They're golden. They get themselves 2-0 in there, and they get themselves up towards the top of the Nirvana group standings.
And some magic numbers hit for both teams. 4 wins for RA, if I remember correctly, and 4 losses on the other side for RNG. 4-1 and 1-4 respectively. It's a pretty significant break point as far as math is concerned for getting out of the group or being left behind.
So, where does that leave our entire table? We'll probably see that a little bit later on in graphical terms, but so what that means is that now RA is technically tied at the top of the table with OMG with 4 wins, but OMG have got 1 last series played, so they can make that up to 5-0 for themselves if they do win their next series. It means that they jump ahead just of Thundertalk Gaming, and then you have this giant kind of pack of 2 and 3 teams of IG, Ultra Prime, and then WE, and that's largely who we're expecting to see fighting now for the last spots. Teams like RNG and EDG, getting harder and harder for them to qualify. And folks, if you've only just joined us and you've not necessarily been introduced to us, my name's Alex. I'm known as Nymaera. You might have seen him on the LPL stream or the LEC stream in the past as well. And this is my brother Sam, or Initialise. Might have also seen him on the LEC. We cast together there back in 2022, and that was a fun old time.
It was.
Now, over here in the LPL, there is no official English broadcast on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so we cast the games with our co-streaming rights, so you can enjoy it. We're the only team which do this every single Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Other people do it like on their off days, and they'll do it every so often. We have consistently done every single day of summer and almost every single day of spring as well. So if you'd like to catch up on any games which were not broadcast in English, you can go watch them on the YouTube channel or on the Twitch collection below here as well. If you're enjoying what we're doing,